Welcome back. Chapter 27, Catherine. When my mother locks my bedroom window, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. When she settles down next to me to sleep, I feel like an animal caught in a trap. I lie awake for most of the night, my body rigid, while she tosses and turns beside me. It's almost like she knows I'm planning to escape, and she's imprisoning me in my bedroom. My mother is a very light sleeper. If I so much as swing my leg over to the floor and stand up, the creaking of the bed springs will probably wake her up. I can barely move. My legal pad must still be on the living room floor where I dropped it. My mother has surely seen it by now. I have no idea whether she looked through it, but if she did, she'll know I've been investigating her. This sounds crazy, but I'm scared of her. Really? I have no idea what she has done. Oh, you're right. Or what she is capable of doing. At one point during the night, she rolled over and curled on her side, facing me, and I felt as if I couldn't breathe, like she was suffocating me by stealing all the oxygen out of our shared air. You're not Ruth Sterling, I thought as I watched her out of the corner of my eye, slowly inching as far away as I could on the mattress. Then I thought, so who does that make me? I've never been so grateful for the faint glow of the sunrise lighting in my room. When my mother finally got up, I kept up my charade of being sick. There was no way I could act normally in front of her, but I figured I could pull off being sick, mother like daughter. If I outweighted her, I knew I'd eventually get a chance to escape. I just had to be patient. My chance comes sooner than I expect. Around 9 a.m., she calls to me. I have to run out for a minute. Be right back. Then the front door shuts behind her. For a terrifying moment, I worry it is a test and that she is waiting by the door to pounce when I leap out of bed. I push aside that fear and fling back the covers. My backpack, my purse, my phone, my legal pad, my laptop, and my sneakers. I'm already dressed and I just used the bathroom and brushed my teeth, so I'm ready to go in less than 60 seconds. I open our front door and hold my breath as I peer down the hallway. It's empty. I creep to the stairwell and slowly pull the heavy door towards me, listening hard. I can hear someone several flights down, but I'm not sure if it's my mother or a neighbor. Whoever it is, they're moving slowly. I wait until the sound of footsteps recedes and finally disappears. Then I descend, holding myself back from running. If I trip and get hurt, it'll be a disaster. I reach the lobby. My mother isn't anywhere to be seen. I just pray she hasn't taken the car. I hurry to the door that leads to the parking lot. My fingers are already scrabbling in my purse for my set of keys. Just as I reach the side door and begin to pull it open, an elderly couple I vaguely recognize from the building approaches, each of them carrying a paper bag of groceries. What kind of person would I be if I rushed through, letting the door close in their faces? I hold open the heavy door and stand to the side and wait, my body clenching tighter with every passing second. They seem to take forever to shuffle through, and once they're finally clear of the door, they thank me profusely. No problem, I say, my voice shrill. I force myself to walk slowly across the asphalt at first, but I'm not even halfway across the lot when my legs pick up speed, propelling me faster and faster. The Bonneville is in sight now. No one is blocking me in. I'm actually going to get away. I slip behind the wheel and jab the key into the ignition and peel out, not bothering with my seatbelt. At the first stop sign, I turn off my location service and dictate a text to my mother, letting her know I'll be gone for a few days. It isn't until I'm another few miles away, speeding down the highway, that I finally feel like I can breathe normally. Sound kind of familiar, don't it? I have no idea where to go or what I'm going to do next, but as long as there is distance between me and my mother, I feel safe. Wow, ironic. I pull into a Wendy's parking lot and lean back, my heart rate finally beginning to slow. Then a message chimes on my phone. I flinch and instinctively look down. I don't know if I want to read whatever my mother has texted back, but it isn't from her. The message comes from 10. Please let me know ASAP. I scroll up and see she texted me a little earlier this morning, writing that another aide called in sick today and the shift is mine if I want it. I consider it for a moment, weighing the pros and the cons. My mother doesn't expect me to be at work right now. No one does. There's a decent chance she might show up looking for me, but there's no way she'd be able to get into the memory wing. It's one of the most secure places I know. On my way, I text 10. Okay, that's the end of chapter 27. Chapter 28, Ruth. 5 minutes. That's how long I allot myself to collect whatever I can carry. I need to be prepared to never see this apartment again. Oh, really? I've planned for this moment for so long. I even conducted drills through the years, tearing through our small rooms, rapidly considering and discarding different items, whittling down the seconds to lower my time. I wish Catherine hadn't taken the car, but at least some of our supplies are already in it. I reach up and grab my gray duffel bag from my closet shelf, leaving it splayed open on my bed. Moving fast, I pull 2 hats off the hook in my closet, then collect a few sets of clean clothes. I toss everything into the duffel and hurry to Catherine's dresser. I scoop up 2 changes of clothes and a sweatshirt for her. I take the photo from her nightstand, both for sentimental value and to keep us from being identified, and then grab our toothbrushes from the bathroom. In the kitchen, I take a flashlight, an extra pack of batteries, and a pair of scissors to cut Catherine's hair. All of these items are lined up side by side in one of the drawers I reorganized last night. I drag a chair over the floor and climb on it to reach the top shelf of our food cabinet. I take down a box of stale Rice Krispies. Catherine's laptop and the legal pad I put on top of it are gone from our dining table, and Catherine also has her phone and purse, so I don't need to bring those items. My topaz ring is on my finger, and my sunglasses are in my purse, along with my journal. I grab the folder of our important documents, including our birth certificates and Social Security cards, and remove the 2 framed pictures of her from the bookshelf in our living room. There is no photographic evidence of either of us left in the apartment now. The last thing I take is a large knife in a protective sheath, one I've owned for many years. By the time I step outside on the sidewalk, I've got 30 seconds to spare and I've already called for an Uber. I know exactly where I'm going. Catherine may have turned off her location sharing, but for as long as she carried a cell phone, I've always had a backup app tracking my daughter. Oh, Ruth. She is something else. That's the end of chapter 28. Chapter 29. Catherine. By the time I reached Sunrise, I arrived at a hard-fought decision. I'm going to confide in 10. There's always nothing she hasn't seen when it comes to a family crisis, and although we don't have a close relationship, I trust her. I've got an alternative motive too. 10 lives alone in a small house she bought last year, and I hope that once she hears my story, she'll let me stay in her guest room for a few nights. I plan to pull her aside this afternoon when the residents are doing arts and craft in the community room, since we usually have a lull then. There's a fringe benefit in confiding in 10. She won't think I'm completely nuts when I tell her I've decided to take a job in Baltimore after all. Coming to this decision lifts a weight off of me. My mother's apparent deep mental illness, combined with all the disturbing questions I'm unearthing about her, is too much for me to carry alone. 10 is a helper. She'll do what she can. I backed the Bonneville into a parking spot at the far edge of the lot, where a row of trees will shield it from the main road. I lock up and hurry inside the building, going directly to the employer's locker room. I change into my salmon-colored scrubs and begin rounds on the memory wing, making sure everyone has taken their morning meds. I help Mrs. Abrams get dressed because she had a rough night and slept late. Then I reheat her breakfast and sit with her while she eats a little oatmeal. Mrs. Abraham rarely talks anymore, but just as I start to remove her bowl, she blinks and asks in a voice that is hoarse from disuse, "Are you one of my students?" It's a glimmer of lucidity. Miss Abrams used to be a high school math teacher. When I ask what class she's teaching, clouds roll back across her eyes. Her fleeting reversion of her past self is already gone. As the morning hours pass, the familiar, contained setting of my workplace and the interactions I have with my coworkers and our residents almost lull me into feeling as if part of the world makes sense again, which is peculiar because of the memory wing. People are locked in battles with their own minds, and the lines between past and present oscillate and blur. The surreal has become the grounding force in my life. At lunchtime, 10 let us know that Mrs. Jacobson family has sent a delivery of pizza for the memory wing staff to thank us for the extra care we provided when Miss Jacobson came down with pneumonia last month. I'm suddenly ravenous. It's been more than 24 hours since I've eaten. I have to help one of our residents use the restroom and then wash her hands and mine afterward. So it takes me a few minutes to get to the little staff kitchenette on our floor. Several of our coworkers are already there, standing around and gobbling down the warm, delicious smelling pies. I walk into the middle of a friendly debate about pizza eating style. 10 is using a fork and knife to cut bites. Reggie, who was raised in the Bronx, has the edges of his piece bent up like a taco, New York style. Another of my colleagues is holding hers flat and biting off the tip of the triangle. "Come on, Catherine, tell us who's doing it right," Reggie jokes. "None of you," I tell them as I reach for a slice of veggie. "Ever heard of a lasagna pizza? You make it in a bread loaf pan." I'm about to explain how it's cooked when Reggie nods. "Yeah, I've had that before. It's pretty good, but nothing beats a street slice from Ray's." I frown. "Wait, you've had lasagna pizza? I thought my mother invented it." He shakes his head and swallows his mouthful before elaborating. "I used to eat it at this place in Maryland back when I was in college. It was their signature dish." It's as if a sheet of glass had dropped down, separating me from everyone else in the room. I'm acutely aware of 10 tossing her crust in the trash and heading back into the hallway, and of Reggie opening another pizza box, and of the warmth of my untouched slice through the paper plate against my palm. But I'm not a part of this group anymore. I'm in the wings, watching characters play out a scene. "Where'd you go to school again?" I managed to ask Reggie. "Townsend. It's near Baltimore." He holds out the open box, offering it to the rest of us. Then he grabs another piece for himself. "Do you remember what the restaurant was called?" Reggie frowns. "Pizza something. Sorry, no." "Be right back," I mumbled. I edged out the room into the hallway. I desperately needed a moment to think. I'm on the cusp of capturing something ephemeral. Wow, it's been a minute since I had a word. Ephemeral. We'll see. It feels like I'm chasing fireflies, watching them light up and disappear. Reggie is around my mother's age. My mother claims to have grown up about an hour from D.C. on the Virginia side. Townsend is about an hour from DC, but on the Maryland side. Maybe all those hours I spent trying to locate her high school were fruitless because I was searching in the wrong state. She could have spun the geographical dial 180 degrees, switching up one detail that changed everything. My mother appears to wholly be fabrication. Why wouldn't this bit of her history be too? She lied about inventing lasagna pizza. She probably didn't want to tell me the truth because it would provide a clue to her background. She probably ate it at the same place Reggie did. Ooh. The firefly flicker glows brighter, lightening up my brain. All I need now is my iPhone and a little privacy. I begin to hurry toward the visiting family room. Mr. Damon is standing in the hallway, nodding his head in time to music only he can hear. "Thank you," he says as I pass by, and I realize he's reaching for my paper plate, like I'm a waitress bringing him his order. I give him my untouched slice because he may have just provided me with another clue. My mother could have worked at the pizza place in high school. Maybe that's how she learned the recipe. She's a waitress. It could have been her first waitressing job. I pause before the door to the family quarters, looking around to make sure no one is watching. Then I slip inside. It's cool and dark and silent in here. I don't have very long, but at least now I finally got a few data points to narrow my search. I pull out my phone and begin. It turns out I don't need long at all. 90 seconds is all it takes for the lies my mother built for 24 years to come crashing down. Like I pulled out the final stabilizing wooden block from the game of Jenga we're playing. Woo! I'm staring at the Facebook page for Pizza Piazza, home of the famous lasagna pizza. We invented our signature dish more than 30 years ago. Try it. You'll never go back to eating pizza the old way again. Beneath those words are photographs of lasagna pizza. They look identical to the dish my mother has made for me ever since I was a little girl. She even cuts them the same way, in squares rather than rectangle slices, the width of the bread pan. I quickly input Pizza Piazza as a keyword in a new Facebook search. Select the options beneath it for people, and then watch as hits begin pouring onto my screen. There's a wealth of information. Photos of guests gathering in booths and round tables at the restaurant, and images of former and current managers and members of waitstaff. There's an address, a website, and phone number for Pizza Piazza in Townsend, Maryland. I quickly start to type out a message to the first few people in my search who identify themselves as past or current employees. Oh, hi. I know this sounds a little crazy, but I'm trying to locate a woman who worked there about 25 years ago. I pause, trying to think of what else to add. I can't give a name or even a physical description. My mother told me she had hair down her waist in high school, but maybe that's another lie. Finally, I write, "If you worked at the restaurant back then, I'd be so grateful for your reply. It's really important." Uh-oh. I hit send, then copy and paste my message to a half dozen other people connected to the restaurant. I skip over the woman who looks like she's in her teens and works there now. There's no way she could have intersected with my mother before I was born. But several could be possibilities, including a guy about my mom's age who looked brand new on Facebook, and a woman who seems to be the current owner of the restaurant and might have owned it all along. There's no guarantee anyone will see my note because people are worried about opening messages from strangers on the internet. But for the first time, I feel like I'm truly onto something. Girl, you onto something. I don't catch a break for the rest of the afternoon. The usual lull during arts and crafts is eliminated when Mrs. Jacobson is walking towards a table and lurches to the side to avoid a deep pool of water. She trips and falls, hitting her jaw on the edge of a table. Alzheimer's can affect vision as well as perception. The blue cardigan another resident dropped on the floor was transformed into a water hole in Miss Jacobson's mind. It takes a while to assess her since she's understandably upset, but Ten examines Mrs. Jacobson's mouth and says she doesn't think the wound is seriously. Our on-call doctor checks her out, and then we hold a FaceTime meeting with Mrs. Jacobson's family to let them know what happened. By the time we finish dealing with the crisis, another resident has scattered the arts and craft materials all over the table and floor, and it's time to clean up, serve dinner, and administer evening meds. I don't make it back to the family quarters until close to 6 p.m., which is near the end of my shift. But when I do, one new private Facebook message is waiting on my phone. Uh-oh. Hey there. Yes, I've worked at PP 25 years ago. I'm still in touch with some of my colleagues. It's a great group. Who are you looking for? The little green dot by the guy's name indicates he's still online. I write back quickly, detailing the scant facts my mother can't alter. I'm not certain of her name. She would have been about 18 with big hazel eyes and light brown skin. She's 5'2". Oh my goodness, this could be the police. I'm so nervous. I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. There's got to be something else distinctive about my mother that hasn't changed over the past quarter century. I think for a minute, then add, good dancer. She may have been on the pom squad at her school, but I'm not sure. The guy writes back so quickly, it's almost like he read my reply the moment I sent it. Oh, police. Oh, I bet I know who you're talking about. Her name started with an A. Shoot. Can't think of it now, but it'll come to me. Really long hair, great smile. She didn't work here, but she hung out here a lot. She sure loved pizza. LOL. I feel like I've stepped off a cliff and am free falling. It's her. I'm certain of it. My mother's real name starts with an A. She's getting closer. And she must have lived near the restaurant in Townsend, Maryland. I quickly scanned the guy's profile information. We're not friends on Facebook, so what can I see on his page is limited, as is what he can view about mine. But his hometown is listed as Baltimore. He must live fairly close to Johns Hopkins Hospital. I typed back, using his nickname for the restaurant. Do you ever go back to PP? Again, he writes back immediately. Haven't been in a while, but now that you've got me thinking about lasagna pizza, I may just go tonight. I think for a moment, then type. I'm going tonight. Maybe we can meet and chat a little more. I could show him a picture of my mother. Oh my God. I've got some on my phone. Those images may jar loose his memories of her. I looked down at my response, then I slowly backspaced through my words, deleting them one letter at a time. My mother drilled into me that you can't trust anyone on the internet. She once clipped out a newspaper story about a girl who went to meet a new social media friend at the mall and was kidnapped by a middle-aged man who created the fake account. She left that story on my pillow for me to read when I begged her to let me join Instagram. Even though I initiated contact with this guy, his profile photo is a picture of a sports car and he comes around as a little too eager. Besides, if he remembers my mother, chances are other people who have connections to the restaurant do too. And I bet I can find her old high school quickly now. I don't need this internet stranger to give me any more information at the moment. Still, I signed off politely in case I need to ask him questions in the future. I write back, have a great night and thanks again. Then I log off of Facebook. Pisa Piazza is only about 70-minute drive from Sunrise. Even if I hit traffic, I can easily make it there while they're still serving dinner. Maybe I'll find a cheap hotel room in the area and spend the night in what may be my mother's actual hometown. Oh my God, I got chills. By this time tomorrow, I could finally know the truth about her. My body is flooded with a mixture of dread and excitement. Part of me wants to abandon this quest now and go home and simply talk to my mom. If I told her of my doubts, would she finally come clean? But my trust in her is shattered. Besides, I've come too far to stop now. I peer out of the family quarters to make sure the hallway is clear, then step out and head to the community room, where I let Tin know I'm leaving. I start to walk to the blue door to input the code to exit. I don't know what makes me stop, turn around, and go back to the big window in the hallway, the one Mr. Damon crouches beneath when he believes the vet con are surrounding us. Maybe it's the sixth sense that has always linked me to my mother, the one that sometimes has me lifting my head to listen for the sound of her key in the front door lock a minute or so before the noise actually occurs. Or the way one of us will say something random, like how about curry for dinner, just as the other has the identical thought. Whatever it is, it draws me to the window. I look out and see the Bonneville still in the far corner where I left it. But someone is leaning against it, like they're waiting for me. I lean closer to the window, squinting. It's my mother. I instinctively shrink back, even though she doesn't seem to be looking in my direction. I cannot believe she has followed me here, especially since I turned off my location sharing. Did she somehow hack into my text and see the exchange between me and Tin? Or did she just take a lucky guess and show up? Either way, it would have required an extraordinary effort since my mom doesn't have sophisticated computer skills and I took our only car. You don't know too much about your mother. She must have taken an Uber here. As I watch, she straightens up and begins to slowly walk around the parking lot like she's on patrol. I wait, hoping she'll move far enough away that I can slip out and drive off, but she's never out of sight of the Bonneville. My mother is clearly prepared to outwait me. What does she intend to do when I approach? I think of her locking my bedroom window, then sliding beneath my comforter to sleep next to me. A chill runs through my body and I shudder. Now that we know how eager I am to get away, let me read that again. Now that she knows how eager I am to get away, will she find new ways to tighten her hold on me? Perhaps she's already known I'm going to move to Baltimore, or maybe she suspects that I'm planning to tell Tin everything. I can't let my mother see me. I need to find another way to Townsend. Then it comes to me as I stare down at the cars in the lot. I already have another way. That's the end of chapter 29. And oh my goodness, I am so nervous. I am so nervous because Catherine is getting closer and closer to the truth about her mother. Her mother already feels some kind of way. I don't know what her mother know. But, other than the fact that James is out. So she, trying to get them out. But here's the dilemma. Is Catherine going to leave with Ruth? Well, she says she found another way. And is Ruth going to be able to persuade Catherine to listen to her? And is this the time that Ruth need to tell Catherine the whole truth? Because it's getting to the point where, honey, forget writing in the journal. You got to tell her everything now. And then I'm thinking the person that she was texting with on Facebook is the police, because that's how they be doing stuff and that's how they be catching people. But she just now, I think her doing that on Facebook has given them a place to start looking for Ruth, aka Ava. Okay, woo-hoo. There was one word. So I'll be back with the definition video. Please hold. Okay, welcome back to the definition video. The word is spelled Ephemeral, and this is how it is pronounced. One more time.
Ephemeral.
Oh, ephemeral. It's an adjective lasting for a very short time. One more time.
Ephemeral.
Ephemeral. Okay, be right back, I mumble. I edged out of the room into the hallway. I desperately need a moment to think. I'm on the cusp of capturing something ephemeral. Okay, one more time.
Ephemeral.
Okay, so that's the end of the definition video portion. I'm going to see y'all in the next chapter, which is 30. Bye.